TPCSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Hey gang, it is Tuesday night. Welcome to Inside the Batter's Box. My name is Scott Webb, and we are going to be here to break down some games tonight. Hey Daniel Barry, how you doing, man? And I'm gonna ask you guys a question today. I think is I came across as interesting to me. So we're gonna ask that question in a little while, just as a topic. And then one other topic that I wanted to talk about is it's something Jeff often talks about, especially when it comes to basketball or football, or not necessarily baseball, but it applies because one of the things that he always says is, respect the opening number. And, if you ever listen to Jeff talk, a lot of times he'll say that. And, when you look at the numbers and you look at the games and you see where the line opens and then where it moves to, I think that, sometimes you sit there and go, well, what's going on here? So we'll talk about that a little bit. Let me see. I got games picked out to talk about today, but I wanted to make sure I got time to hit them. One of the games goes at 6:45, so we'll get into that one right away. Yesterday, obviously I didn't do a show on about picks yesterday. Jeff and I did a show in relation to the trade deadline and some other things and where teams were and who's involved in maybe making a playoff push or looking for somebody or whatever. So we did a show about that. But yesterday, the Houston Astros let me down. They were the only team that I didn't cover on. We had 4 bets yesterday, won 3. You can get those plays. You can do those things if you join my service. And I'm not trying to tell you to do that if you don't want to, but some people ask about those kinds of things. I only charge $100. You just go to my website, mlb-a.com, and there's a link there that says membership sign up. You click the button, you push the button, and you say, here's your $100, and then you start getting plays. You get access to the website, so which is going to be part of the question here in a little bit. So anyway, I just want to make sure that, like, if you want stuff I'm doing when I'm not on, because I'm usually still betting. And the reason I'm not on is typically because on Monday is a travel day, and there's usually like 6 games. Happened to be 13 games yesterday, and to be quite honest with you, it would have been a way better show yesterday than it is today. Today's slate of games is, I don't want to call them boring, but they're difficult, right? So we'll get into some of this stuff, but because of time circumstance in the first game, this is 6:20 already, and the game starts at 6:45. And I'm going to caution you of one thing. There is potential weather problems in this game. This is going to be San Diego at Washington today. Washington took a little while to name their pitcher. It wasn't disclosed overnight, and this morning it took a little while. But DJ Hers is the pitcher, and they're going to face Randy Vasquez in the Padres. So the line in the game when it first came out, it says it was 125 for the Nationals at home against the Padres. So let me start there. 125 for the Nationals at home means something that I can't get to. So when I do my numbers and I start putting out lines, see if I have that up. Perfect. When I put them out and I do this, I look at my data, right? My data says the San Diego Padres are 521 winning percentage. They're going to win 84 and a half games. I get it. They can't win a half game, but that kind of rectifies. That's just the power rating number, right? So it's 521. That's their winning percentage. And at 84.5 wins, that puts them, slightly behind Milwaukee, slightly ahead of the Cubs, right with the Mets, a little bit behind, where the Braves are. So it fits, it's a legit number. It feels good, feels right. That's where it should be. So I like that. I like what the number represents. I think it's a right number. So then on the other side, the Washington Nationals, they're a 449 winning percentage and 72.7, so 73 wins. And that puts them, well ahead of teams like Miami and Colorado and so forth. They're kind of on par with who the Angels are. They're not quite, as good as maybe like the Reds are at 80 wins. So the Pirates are at 75 wins. And I think that's probably about right? The Nationals probably quite aren't that good. So those numbers fit. So if you do this, and you take a team, and we'll just leave the names off the team for a second, and you plug them into the formula works like this. The formula says a team with a winning percentage of 521, which in this case was the Padres, and a winning percentage of 449, which was the Nationals. My computer doesn't know who the names of the teams are. And it comes down and says that the team that's the winningest percentage, in this case would be the Padres, every time that they meet, 57.1% of the time, the Padres are going to win that game. The Padres. So 57% is going to be about a 132, minus 132, something like that. So the Padres are already minus 132. So how do we get Washington at minus 125? So the next step of this is you got to put in the adjustments for the pitchers. So Randy Vasquez in the projected WAR numbers is a 0.6, and he's a 0.6. So I use two formulas. I use Streamer, and I also use Zips. And then I marry the two together because they have a variance of the two, and one's a little sharper than the other. On Streamer's more sharp, but I use them because sometimes one's way off and the other one kind of fixes it. So I blend them together. So it's a 0.6 and a 0.6 for Randy Vasquez. So like that just means that he's barely better than a replacement pitcher, a call-up guy. Well, DJ Hers is a 0.8 and a 0.7. So very, very little difference between the two pitchers. So after that happens, you bring those in, and the significance changes minimally. And then you got to say, okay, well, I got to put home field edge to the Nationals, right? Because the Padres are traveling, they're playing on the road. And as my number comes out, and when I look at it, 54% of the time the Padres win this game. And I can't see any other way that they can't. So that turns out to a minus 118. And that's after you factored the pitchers. That's after you factored the home field edge. And yet the number in this game opened at minus 125 for the Nationals. Does that make any sense? Make any sense to anybody? So these are the spots that I think that, having the ability to create your own number, to make your own betting line, you can find faults in other lines, right? And in this case, this is great because ultimately we want to make bets, and this is a great value bet right off the bat. So I'm interested just as soon as I see I've got value in that number, right? My number says minus 118, and I can get them at plus 115. That's pretty good. Now I get it. The numbers have changed. The betting numbers have been moved around. Right now, the number looks like it's at circa it's minus 111. and at bookmaker it's minus 115. So you can get them, say minus 113, kind of blended the two. And that's with nationals minus 113. At least they're not minus 125. So that means you're getting 103, right, for the Padres. Now, I think there's only one way to bet it, and I'm going to tell you to bet the Padres. But I don't think you play this game full game. And there's a reason why I don't think you play it full game. I think you play it the first 5 innings. So the first factor is there's a weather situation here where this game might only go 5 innings, and they might force this game to get in there and do whatever to try to get this game in. That's number one. There is a little bit of rain probability that this could happen, and I don't want this game to be a non-factor or a loss or get my money back when I win it, right? So depending on what your sports book features, sometimes you can do these games and you bet them and it has to go a certain number of innings, and if it doesn't, they give you your money back, as opposed to, okay, it's a real game even after 5 innings. Like some of these books, it's got to go 7 innings, 8 innings, or whatever before it becomes a legitimate game in their book. And if it doesn't, even though it went 5, it's an official game. You get your money back, but you didn't win your bet, and that sucks. So you kind of know your rules with your sports book when it comes to that. But I think the best way to do this is to go first 5 innings, and the first 5 innings, the odds change a little bit. The Padres number goes up a little bit. So how did I come up? So we talked about the number. So how do we handicap the game, right? So I want to start using better terminology to put the stuff in better pictures. So one of the things that I want to be sure that everybody understands and knows the differences and variations of is you got to know what a good bet is. And what I just explained is a good bet. Anytime that you have a number that you trust and you feel is a good number and your number is showing value over the sports book's number, that's a good bet. That's EV positive. So EV, right? Extra value. This is extra value positive. You make 1,000 of these bets, you're going to win more money doing these bets by X percentage. And I can tell you what the percentage is on this game if I can get to the right screen. And I'll flip it to this screen. Oops, this screen. And it's a 6.8% edge. 6.8. So the EV tool that I use says, hey, because of the line variance and where it's at and what it is, this is it. 6.8%. So 1,000 bets, you're going to make 6.8% extra on top of this bet. And that's what you're looking for. So if you're a gambler and you do this and you make only EV positive bets, I guarantee it, over 10,000 bets, over 2,000 bets, a 500 bet, you're going to be a winner. You are. And that has nothing to do with CLV and handicapping and all that. So number one rule of all of this is make good bets. So this is what I'm showing you is a definition of good bet. Okay, so that's number one. That's a good bet. Now handicapping, I use handicapping in the skills of my years of doing this stuff and being able to kind of look at it to try to figure out, okay, sometimes when you do this stuff and you show an EV positive bet and you look at it and you go, well, I know better. There's a problem here, right? So you can save yourself a little bit just by not putting blinders on. You look at everything. So the first thing that I looked at in this particular case, and one of the things that I like to look at right now more than anything, is I like to look at the SOPS plus for these pitchers, because that tells me how they're going to control the opponent's offense. S is slugging percentage and on-base percentage combined. The plus stands for the equalizing the fields, so that it's a standard, is so that you don't have a variance because of Coors Field or Arizona or somewhere. And then the S in the front is a predictive number. So it's a predicted SOPS number. And it's graded on a 100 scale. So if it's 100, it's average. If if in this case, for example, Hers is pitching, he's a 122. That means he's 22% worse than average at taking care of the opponent's offense. So the opponents should be able to do more things, more balls in play, more damage, that kind of stuff. On the vice versa side, Randy Vasquez, he's at 83. 83, that's 17% better than an average offense because he's below the 100. Now, what's interesting is, and this is why you want to look at things in segments or you miss it. Randy Vasquez got off to a very bad start. As a matter of fact, he's made 13 starts. He's 5-8 in those 13 starts, but like 3 or 4 of those 5 wins have been in his last 4 or 5 starts. So he's been really good as of late. But for the season, his SOPS plus is a 148. 148 is the worst on the board. Worst. And I'm betting him because in the last 30 days, he's a 83, and the opponent he's facing today in Hers is a 122. So he's going to be able to control the offense better than Hers can. So then you go back and you look at it from a perspective of, all right, so that matches up to A, we got a good bet. B, now our pitcher looks like he might be able to do some good things. Let's look at it from another level. So if I can get to it, there we go. So they both have average metrics, and one doesn't stand out over the other one. Hers has a good strikeout rate, so I expect the Padres to have more strikeouts than the other. But Randy Vasquez doesn't give up home runs, and Hers does. So you got a Hers home run effect problem. And the biggest issue that Hers has is kind of threefold here. One, he's not a ground ball guy. So damaging blows, big hits, doubles. His ground ball rate's only 35%. So that's in the worst 25% of all of baseball. Then you have a batting average against of 281. Well, the league average is 242, I think. So if it's 242 and he's 281, it's the worst 25% of all baseball. And his whip rate, 1.5 guys per inning. So now you're telling me I can get, in 3 innings, almost 10 guys on base. I'm going to run that way, right? I'm going to take my chances, especially early in the game, because on the backside, when you start to look at then the bullpen and you're doing a quick review of the bullpen, Washington ranks 4th and the Padres rank 19th. I don't want the Padres to give away any edges that I've earned because my starting pitcher did good and theirs didn't. So that's why I'm switching this to a first 5 innings, not a full game. And the other side of the reason that I would do that is because the Padres offense currently is not as good as what the Nationals are doing. The Nationals are 9th in offense. Padres are 19th. But again, what we're looking at is a pitcher we can take advantage of. The other team's going to have to work harder. Yes, their offense is doing okay, but at the same time that their offense is doing okay, they've got a pitcher that they're going to have to kind of maneuver a little bit. Now, I looked this up because some of when you make a bet, one of the things you want to do is not get surprised by a lot of things. DJ Hers is a AAA pitcher. He's been a spot starter for the Nationals. He's done well in certain spots. Most of the time he hasn't. He's thrown a couple of good games, but a lot of bad games. He's only made, if I flip this over here, right? He's only made 7 starts. He's 3-4 in those 7 starts that he's made. He's a 119 SOPS plus for the season. And he's been terrible at night. So hopefully this being at night, the Padres can hit him and we'll be in good shape. But I'm going to say it again a different way. Hers hasn't pitched for almost 3 weeks. And it's not because he's hurt. It's because these guys are getting, I put this article out about where they're at on pitches from one year to the next. And he's a young guy. So they're starting to give them breaks. There's a game later we're going to talk about with Jordan Hicks. Same kind of concept, but a different reason. This guy, JD Hurts, he's a young guy. So they're trying to take care of his arm, so so they don't hurt him. But at the same time, he hasn't pitched for about 3 weeks in the big league. So I wanted to double check and see if there was any time in between there. They didn't, because his last couple of starts in the big leagues, he had a game score 22, 26, then a good start, 64, and then a 40. So one below average start of 40, two well below average starts in the 20s. Those are terrible. And then one above average start in the 60s. That's been his performance in about 5 or 6 weeks. So he hasn't pitched a lot, because the last couple of weeks he hasn't pitched anything in the big league. So I wanted to look, see if he threw any minor league games, and he did. He threw one. He went 3 innings in a AAA game, gave up 5 hits and 3 runs in 3 innings. So he didn't do good in that game either. So they're going to bring him up to fill in this spot where they need a pitcher. But what's the expectation of this pitcher? Is he going to be really good? I don't think so. And he's already faced the Padres in his limited time. He's already faced the Padres. He threw a game score 26 against them. He got killed. Now, it was been several weeks ago, so it's not like it's right fresh in their mind, and it's not a big adjustment thing right this minute because it's not back-to-back. So I'm expecting the Padres to do pretty well today. And I'm also expecting Randy Vasquez, who has basically turned over a new leaf, to do well today. And you can check one thing for that. If you go look at the WPA for Randy Vasquez, it's plus 36. Now, WPA, again, is win percent added. Win percent added just as, again, it's taking all the good stuff that that guy does, where he puts the ball, the velocity, the outcomes, all the good things go add up in one column, and then all the bad things go in the other column. They subtract out the two, and he's got more good things than bad things. So that's good. He's not making many mistakes. As a matter of fact, he's making more pitchers' pitches than he is mistake pitches. The other kid is minus 17. And he was a plus number. He's still plus for the year, plus 0.4. And Randy Vasquez is a minus 62 for the year. So you can see there's been something happen to Randy Vasquez that he's doing a lot better. And it's sustainable because he's not making mistakes. And that's what you look for. Was his last start an anomaly? Was it something that he's trying, that had to offset, the regression to the mean stuff we talk about? And he's not in that spot. He doesn't have Randy Vasquez through a 58. He doesn't have that real high 80, 70 kind of game score to offset a real bad number. So I'm expecting him to throw pretty well, and I'm expecting the Padres in the first 5 innings to do pretty well. So first play tonight is San Diego Padres, first 5 innings. My number I got was even money, 100. You might be able to get it at maybe 105. Might be right in that neighborhood of plus money. Might be even minus money. But that's play number 1. So the next game it's kind of an interesting, and maybe we should go through some of this a little bit, because the card has Paul Skeens on it, right? And everybody loves Paul Skeens, and I get it. I like Paul Skeens too. It's fun to go watch him pitch, right? So here's rule number 1. Shouldn't say it that way. I say rule number 1 all the time, right? So here's a note to take. Let's say it that way. We'll start making those kind of announcements instead of rule number 1 stuff. When a pitcher throws a super game last time out, do you expect him to do the same thing this time? Well, the answer to that question is no. How many multiple no-hitters have ever been thrown? Randy Vandermeer is the only one I know of all the basements that have ever been pitched, right? Back-to-back no-hitters. In the last start for Paul Skeens, he threw 7 innings, no hits, 11 strikeouts. His game score in that game, 90. 90. He's not going to throw 90 today. In fact, there could be an offset to that 90. So you might want to be very cautious of betting on Paul Skeens today. And 90 is a pretty big number. His average for the season is 65. That's awesome. I think it's the highest one. 65 is the highest one. And so he's been really, really good. But 90, okay, so and no hits. And here's another interesting thing I learned from doing this for a long time. There was a gentleman, his name was David Malinsky. And David Malinsky, he's no longer with us. He's passed away, but there's a sad story for David Malinsky, how he passed away. His issue with how he died was he's a handicapper, was on VSiN, was on TV all the time, did a lot of stuff, did a lot of analytical work. Obviously I do a lot of that too, so I liked it. But he was all one-sided. He was always pitcher dominant, never offense. So he would always get himself into a little bit of trouble by doing that. But I learned a lot from what some of his teachings were. And some of this stuff kind of goes out there. And well, long story short, how he died was he was getting ready for football season and went for a walk in the mountainous area around his house in Las Vegas, slipped and fell, and was out there all by himself and just died under a tree. It's awful. But David Malinsky was his name. And if you ever get a chance to Google it or look him up, he's got a lot of good teachings and a lot of things out there. But one of the things I really learned from David Malinsky is second time through. Think about that. Second time through. So like these guys that come over from Japan, or they pitch from somewhere, or they're call-up guys, or they're whatever, it doesn't matter. But the first time anybody ever sees them, boy, they got an edge, right? So the Cardinals, who face the Pirates tonight and Paul Skeens, this ain't the first time they've seen him. This will be the second time they've seen him. And that then shifts that edge that pitcher has. Doesn't take it away, it shifts it. It's not so dominant anymore. It's not this fallacy that you see on your iPad trying to learn what this pitcher does, right? It's so the second time through is a big deal. And the third and fourth time through in a season is a big deal. You're going to see guys that are going to go through the first two starts and just mow away teams like I don't know, we'll just make it up. There's a guy for Seattle's pitching against a guy from Texas, and they play each other all the time. So this will be the fourth time they play each other this season, and he's dominated the first three. You think he's going to dominate four? Doesn't work like that. It just doesn't. The laws of regression to the mean and seeing the pitcher and the adjustments that they make, the pitcher gets rocked. So the more a batter sees the stuff, the more the batter starts to get more of an edge. So it starts to shift over and over and over. So here you got the second time through for Paul Skeens, and he's off of a big start. I don't want to sit here and tell you that I'm going to go against it. My numbers tell me I should. But I'm not going to go to the degree, because I don't really like Lance Lynn. And he's not done real well against the Pirates in the past. He's got an ex-WOBA expected weighted on base average of over 400 today, and that means the Pirates should be able to hit him. So I don't want to get into that kind of a match. Now, what would be interesting, and maybe this is just theory thought on the fly. Maybe the sports books have it to a point where they think that this is going to be one of those big under games. Yeah, look, like it opened at 8, now it's 7.5. If it were to get down to say 7, that would have been a great and bet over. So utilize what you see and what you know, and make. I don't know. So keep this thought in mind. Do you guys take notes watching shows like this? Do you learn anything from watching shows like this, or you just wait for picks? Because I'm going to ask that question in a little different way in a minute. But the reason I'm saying that is because your ability to handicap yourself is going to become what makes you a gambler or not. I don't know how else other than to say it than that. You can sit there and listen to guys like me, and we can give you a play, and you can make the play, and then you can either get mad at me or you can be happy with me. But the reality of it is, if you don't make your own bets, you're never going to make it in this. So anyway, let's move on to the next situation. We had the Vasquez game we just talked about. So we got another kind of a spot that we had earlier today. Cincinnati's playing Atlanta today. And, we talked about, I was going to ask you a question about the opening line and respect the opening number. And in this case, the opening number was minus 255 for Atlanta. Now, they didn't really have a listed pitcher, so that's probably kind of a weird number because they did not really have a pitcher out there and all that stuff. Now there's a pitcher, Nick Martinez, is going to pitch, and the number's all the way down to minus 160. So do you think there's any respect for that 255? I don't think so. My number on this game, even with that pitcher, is minus 213. So that's probably more realistic than 160. So where does 160 come from? Well, you got to kind of look at it and say, why is that line so low? I can tell you one thing, Atlanta's hurt. So you got to start digging away at that a little bit because my number doesn't really do that. So you got to take it away a little bit because, you don't have Albies there now. You don't have Michael Harris. They've had issues at catcher, but the catcher's now back. And just announced a little while ago, Austin Riley's not playing. They put him on paternity leave. So, his wife had a baby last night. They had to take him out in the ninth inning, and he went off. And so he's not playing. So they got some issues, and they're a weaker team. So I get the idea that you're going to move a number. So when a number is moved, it's your job as the bettor to go figure out why. If you can't figure out why, then it shouldn't have moved, and it's all kind of being done by the odds makers to try to get money on one side or the other that they want. So in this particular case, I think there's two things. I think the line is a little off from my number, but my number is probably a little high. And then my number doesn't take into effect, Ozzie Albies not playing and Riley not playing. So you take those couple guys out of the lineup, and, I can see it being, minus 190, minus 185. And then when you start to look at the pitchers, you got to go, there's no, Chris Sale is one of the best pitchers in baseball. So the question then becomes, how would you want to bet it? Look, if you can get Chris Sale at minus 160, that's a sale price. I get it. Maybe you don't want to pay that high, but let me tell you that if you don't start paying certain games that way, you won't play because there isn't any value in other games. So like today, it's been a really tough time trying to find value in these games. Now I found one right away in that San Diego game, but I didn't find that until like 4:00 because they didn't announce the pitcher until then. So when you start to come down here and you go, oh my God, Sale's on sale, minus 160. I think it should be minus 200 or right around that number. It's up to you to decide whether to bet it. I'm going to be transparent and honest with you as much as I can, in a sense, to tell you that I didn't bet it. The reason I didn't bet it is not because I didn't believe in the value in Chris Sale. It's because when I started to look at it, I wanted to go and say, well, the Braves are going to have to score. Even if the Reds score 2 or 3, the Braves are still going to have to score. Well, the Braves are averaging 2.8 runs per game since they come out of the break. And I don't see anything that sits here to tell me that they're going to hit. They're 23rd in offense. They're minus 17% on weighted runs created plus. The only guy who's hitting is Ozuna, and he's the only one who's been hitting for them all season. So I think that you marry the information together. So what I mean by marry is, oh, we just said Chris Sale's on sale. Oh, their offense is doing great. Sign me up. Let's go. And then you make that bet. Oh, their offense is not doing so good. Pass. Right? Even though he's on sale, maybe he's on sale because it's stale bread. You don't want stale bread, right? You want fresh bread. You want a good game. You want a solid reasons to make these bets. So I passed on that game. But it's just kind of how things break out and what they look like, right? So trying to go down my sheet here and pick off any of these other games you might want to talk about before I get to it's an 8:00 game, so we got a little bit of time. I think that there's value. So let's look at it this way. The New York Yankees are playing the Mets. You remember the last time when they played in Queens, the Mets beat them up. So I think the Yankees are going to be, wanting to turn this around a little bit. And Luis Gil went through a phase where he wasn't very good, but his last couple of starts he's been better. He's on sale too. But what I think the issue here for me, he's on my list of pitchers that you got to watch for. Luis Gil has 102 pitches so far this year. Not 102 pitches, 102 innings pitched. Last year in the big leagues, 4. Year before that, 25. So he's been hurt. He had 100 innings in the minor leagues previously, but he's starting to run out of gas. I think there's better spots. I decided to pass on that play. I think that you like the Rays when they do these openers, like today Armstrong's opening. He's going to pitch 1 or 2 innings. They would like to get 2 innings out of Armstrong. Last time he opened, he got bombed. But he's pretty good. Usually he's been an opener before. He's pretty good. But the guy who's coming in behind him, Tyler Alexander, he's a soft tosser that used to pitch for Detroit and was in that role earlier for Tampa. Tampa didn't like him, so they got rid of him. I shouldn't say got rid of him. Put him back into minor leagues, sent him down, and now he's been called up to fill a spot. So you've got kind of that weird thing going on with them. But it's the Blue Jays. Well, I can just tell you, if you're a soft tosser, anybody can hit you if you put it in the wrong spot. So Berrios, who's pitching today for the Blue Jays, is one of the weirdest lines and numbers that I can tell you about of any of the pitchers because he's not any good. But at the same time, I tell you, he's not any good. He's went out and made there it is. He's made 20 starts, won 13 games, 13-7. That's pretty damn good. You're 13-7, and a guy like Lance Lynn is 11-8. A guy like Hicks for the Giants, so you might go, oh, that's a much better pitcher. Well, he's 8-11. Even a guy like Gilbert, who's pitching for Seattle, who's one of the better pitchers in baseball, he's 11-9. And here you go, and you've got Berrios at 13-7, and his SOPS plus for the season is a 106, so he's 6% above average. That's not dramatic, but he's an above average pitcher. He's been an above average pitcher. His for the season, his game score is a 50 average. So he's an average pitcher that's getting winning results. So you got to be careful with guys like that. And maybe it's because he gets spots like this where you get a opener from Tampa Bay and you get a bad pitcher from Tampa Bay, and maybe they can win this game. Or maybe they keep it close and they win it in the bullpen, and it has nothing to do with him other than keeping it close. So I think that's a game to skip. I think the Philadelphia Phillies and the Minnesota game is an interesting game in the sense that, Wheeler's on the mound and he's kind of got shorter odds today. Shorter odds meaning that, how often are the Phillies with Wheeler minus 138? It's not very often. Now, I will say, Minnesota Twins, they're not number one in the standings in the American League Central yet. I think they will be, and I think they should be. I think they're the better team in that division. And they won the game yesterday against the Phillies. And I'm trying to see what the line is currently with that game. That game is now minus 140, so not much change. But it opened at minus 160. So why would it go to minus 140? There's been no determinations of, like Austin Riley is not going to play for Atlanta today. There's nothing going on in this game that would make that number change. So those are the kind of things I think about. So if there's nothing been going on to make the number change, and it opened at minus 160, it's minus 140 now, what moved it? Just bets. Bets moved it. Or a sports book moved it and everybody else followed them because they want money to go on one side or the other, right? So my opinion would is to go bet the Phillies. Bet the Phillies at minus 140 and bet Wheeler on sale, right? I mean, that's kind of what you do with these spots. So we're starting to get into the next game that I wanted to cover that I'm actually giving out as a play. And this is a rivalry game. This is the Milwaukee Brewers and the Chicago Cubs. Now, these guys have been sort of playing these dogfight games, and it's kind of vital that they get to where they need to go here because the Cubs are in seller mode for the trade deadline, but they're not that far out of first place. They're not that far out of wild card spots either. And Milwaukee is in a spot where they don't have dominant enough pitching as a team to just run away with this division. So it makes these games interesting. And because they're interesting, a lot of times you don't get 10-9 games, you get 2-1 games. And in this particular matchup, the idea here that I'm going to flip this around so I can get to the right numbers. So offensively, the Chicago Cubs are 27th out of 30 teams, 29th out of 30 teams in isolated power. That's not very good. So they're 41% worse than an average team, and the Milwaukee Brewers are just an average team right now. So the Cubs are scoring 1.8 runs a game. And then you have 5.7 runs a game for Milwaukee. So they're scoring more runs, even though their offense hasn't done great. But the issue becomes is, can they score the runs on Tyone? So Tyone SOPS plus is a 60. He's 40% better than an average pitcher. And then on the other side, Colin Ray, he's a 69. So he's 31% better than an average pitcher. These offenses are going to have to work. And the Cubs offense is terrible. And the other one's just average. So advantage pitchers. And then when I started to look at this and look at it even farther, do you guys know that Colin Ray's made 16 starts for the Milwaukee Brewers? And in those 16 starts, the Brewers won 11 times. They're 11-5 when he starts. You don't really want to bet against Colin Ray, even though he's not a good pitcher. I said that he's a SOPS plus 69. That's good, right? But if I flip it over here and go, well, tell me what is his game score? Year-to-date's a 50. He's an average pitcher. He's not a good pitcher. He's an average pitcher. But as an average pitcher goes, he controls the offense, keeps his team in the game, and allows his team to win late. That's what he does. So we looked then and said, Tyone, he was 40% better than an average pitcher. Right now, his game score for the season's a 53. Over his last 7 games, it's a 59. So that's ace-like. So he's pitching really, really good. When I break it down and slide it all the way out, both of them are plus in the WPA column, not by much, but they're in the top. They're in the top 50% of all of pitchers. They're good. They're making more positive pitches than pitchers than they do mistakes, both of them. So where do you go? What do? Do you sit there and go, well, let's take a chance on, the Brewers side because, the guy's 11-5 and 16 starts, or do we ride with the other? How about you go and say, let's ride both pitchers and play under 4.5 in the first 5 innings. I don't want to mess with the bullpens only because the Milwaukee bullpen's been pretty bad lately. Milwaukee's bullpen ranks 29th out of 30 teams. So I don't like that very well. I like the Cubs. The Cubs bullpen's been good. So I'll take under 4.5 the first 5 innings. I got it at -115. That's play number 2. And so we're capitalizing here on 2 good pitchers against at best one average offense, and the other offense is 29th out of 30 teams. The last game of the night, the last play anyway, is going to be on the Los Angeles Dodgers. I had to figure out how I wanted to do this because I make a list, and in my list today, these little scrap pieces of paper out all over the place. But here it is. My little list comes out, and it starts with EV plus, right? So I'm starting to look at where's my value in plays. So I start to get some of these plays out of there, and I try to marry those plays to other things. Like that's how I got San Diego started, right? San Diego was a value play. Then it said, oh, look, the pitcher's pretty good, so we got some other things involved there. Then I went to the totals play, and the totals play comes from looking at the handicapping skills, both pitchers being able to subdue the offenses. And then this play is based on I want to find bad pitchers to attack, right? I just want to go get them. And this is where Jordan Hicks comes into play for the Giants. Jordan Hicks SOPS plus for the last 28 days is a 169. He's 69% worse than an average pitcher. For the course of the season, he's only 8% worse, but he's hit his wall. His last, where is it at? There it is. His last, so they've already rested him a little extra. So he's got a little extra rest coming into this game. But his last game scored 21, 46, 47, 19. So his last 4 starts, and then kind of skipping one. So he's about, a month here of poor pitching. And that because he has, where is he at? Jordan Hicks. He's at 95 innings already. And last year he threw 65. The year before that he threw 61. Remember, he was a closer. He was the guy that comes in and throws 102 miles an hour and was trying to get outs for the St. Louis Cardinals. That's what he was doing. So he only threw 60 innings. And now he's already over 95 innings. And this, if he goes 6 innings today, he'll be at 100. Or 5 innings today, he'll be at 100. And they're facing the Dodgers. He's already faced the Dodgers once. He threw a game score of 47. In terms of metrics, they're all 25% to the worst in baseball. He's in the worst percentage of baseball in walking guys, almost 3.93 walks per 9 innings. His ex-Woba number is 390, almost 400. Guys on base is 191, almost 2 guys per inning. Batting average against 346. His WPA is -88. So everywhere you turn around, he's in the worst percentage of all of baseball today. And he's facing the Dodgers who are hitting. The Dodgers offense right now is 4th in baseball and 1st in isolated power. So they are 35% better than an average offense. Number 1 at isolated power, and number 4 against the Giants offense is 25th. And I get it. We got Landon Knack that we got to get going for the Dodgers. Well, the reality of Landon Knack, if you look at it, he's got green metrics, which means they're in the top 25% of baseball. 302 xFIP, 277 Sierra, strikeouts 12 per 9 innings. So he's been really good as of late. He's not flawless. He gives up home runs. But the reality becomes is I think that the Dodgers, all I got to do is win. This is -140, so that's kind of a bigger number. But at the same time, I tell you it's a bigger number. My number says Dodgers are minus 210. The Dodgers should be minus 210. And if the Dodgers are minus 210 and I can pay them at 140, I'm going to do it every day. How many times can you bet the Dodgers at home over anybody minus 140? Hardly ever, because they're almost always minus 200. And you can't tell me that the Giants are, I get it's a rival and blah, blah, blah. But the reality is that the Giants yesterday had Blake Snell on the mound, and I get it. Blake Snell was not good. Blake Snell's been dynamite the last 3 times he's pitched. Like, he's been Cy Young Blake Snell. So they got Cy Young Blake Snell on the mound yesterday, and the Dodgers have a call-up kid who's never pitched before. Who won that game? The Dodgers. So don't make sure you realize what you're seeing and betting, because value doesn't always come across and go, hey, I'm minus 115 and I should be minus 170, bet me. Because sometimes you can't find it. And that's what I meant by earlier in the show. Sometimes you're going to have to bet minus 160. Just going to have to, or you can't play. And today, this is minus 140. I'm betting it. I already did. But I'm betting Dodgers minus 140 in NAC tonight, because I'm picking on the pitcher for the Giants. And those are the 3 plays. Now, I don't know how I want to do this real good. So there was an article that came across, and I follow this guy on Twitter. His name is China. He goes by China, and he's a legit gambler dude, right? I mean, like, he used to be a poker player, now he's a sports gambler, blah, blah, blah. And I don't necessarily care that he was a poker player. Most of the time the poker players, guys, think they know what they're doing, and they know the math part. They just don't know the what a good bet really becomes in some of these things, and they mess it all up. But China was good. So he asked a question, and that's why I bring it up. The question is, and I'm putting it up so I can read it. The question becomes so you just got into sports betting. The goal is max profit, right? You want to make as much money as you can. That's your goal. So if you do that, do you do A or B? And his question is do you go and put your money into betting groups? So what a betting group is you get guys that go buy picks from all across wherever, from a bunch of times. They get all these picks together, and then as a group, they select whatever picks that they have, and then they're going to give out these picks. And it's a betting group, right? It's a group that comes up with these plays, and they do all this stuff. And here's the group, and we're gonna make our picks because of this group. Now, or do you go use a tout service, right? So do you go use a tout service, or do you go do this? And that was his question. You're new to the game, but you want to max profit. So you don't know how to bet. You don't know what's going on. You don't know handicapping skills. You don't know any of this stuff, right? So that was the question. So there's a lot of responses. There's a lot of different things on here. I put I don't know. I don't know what the right answer to that question is, because ultimately a guy like me, I do my own handicapping. I make my own numbers. I do my own stuff. I run my own business to a degree. So if somebody wants to pay me to help them, I'll do that. So my belief is it's more about information to teach someone how to do this so they can do it on their own. So there's a very well-respected guy. His name is, let me go back here now. He goes by Trench. So if you get a chance, go follow him on Twitter. His name is Trench. His name is Matthew Trench. Matthew Trench actually is the owner of Anubis Trading Limited. He was a partner with Pinnacle Sportsbook. Pinnacle Sportsbook is widely known as probably the premier best odds in the world. So that may have kind of dissipated some since they broke it up a little bit, but it was always Pinnacle. Now it's Pinnacle, it's Chris, which is also bookmaker, and Circa. So let me tell you that there is a difference in sports books. MGM, DraftKings, FanDuel, they're recreational sports books. They want to take the novice gambler, give them everything that they can give them, confuse them with all the bells and whistles, and get them to pay into that account. That's what they want to do. Your Chris's, your bookmakers, your Circas, they set the numbers, guys. They make the lines. So when I go look at a spreadsheet of numbers that show you all the lines, my eyes are attracted to bookmaker, Chris, and Pinnacle, and then Circa. And then from there, I kind of look at them and go, oh, yeah, okay, whatever. You go, that's cute. You're doing this. You're doing that. You're doing this. So I compare my numbers to their numbers because those are the guys that set the market. There is a difference in books and why the books are out there and what they do. If Circa went to go change a number, especially like in football or something, and made a mistake, and it's supposed to be, I don't know, say the line was 4, and they hit a button and it went to 5, you watch what happens to the other books. It won't take them more than 45 seconds to a minute, and 5 other books are 5. It's the way it works. And they made a mistake. So they click the button, it goes back to 4, and then all those other books shifted back to 4. They copycat the line. They're not making their own numbers. So anyway, point being is Matthew Trench. I tell you all that because he's very knowledgeable at what he does, and he made a reply to this, and this led me to ask this question to you guys. His reply is neither. Don't do either one of those two things. Do your own handicapping. That's what he said. It's the only time in betting with no downside. If you find the Holy Grail, probably looks different to the other two options cited, and get good at it, right? So if you get good at handicapping, you're going to start doing a really good job. You find the Holy Grail and you start making money, right? And they said if you suck at it and your accounts now look amazing, you should have learned a lot anyway. So if you're learning while you're losing, then the reality is, he said there's plenty of time to do mind-numbing, tedious stuff. So enjoy having no clue and learning lessons endlessly every day. I thought it was great advice. Great advice. So my question to you guys, because I've never figured this out. I know what my head thinks like, right? That's why I was like, do you guys do you take notes when I'm talking, or do you really care what I'm saying? Because my goal of the show is to share with you so that you know what a good bet is, so that you can make good bets in your personal lives every day, and you can go out and justify what you're doing, right? That's what I think. I think that's what this show's about. That's what I'm trying to do, trying to show you how to make a good bet. So in part of doing that, there's some handicapping that I do on here when I break down a game, or I do certain things so that you can see some of that stuff. So my question was, and it still is, I guess it's a couple fold now, is what's the purpose of you guys watching the show? I mean, I get it. I'm going to give you a play or two here or there, whatever, and you're either going to bet it or you're not. I tend to wonder about stuff like that, just because, the other day we had 300 people on here, and, we've had good communication, but we don't really ever get to a point where, people are going, yeah, I made this bet from you, and I did this, I did that, I did this, I did that. I'm learning this skill set, I'm learning that skill set, I'm learning this skill set. Nobody talks like that, right? I mean, nobody says stuff like that. We just sit here as I talk and go, I wonder what's going on with our people out here. We got 100 people on here now. I don't know where we are with certain things. So my questions are always this way, right? my goal of the show is to teach you how to handicap yourself, number one, by knowing what a good bet is. I don't want you to need to pay for a tout service, but the way I explain it to you is going to be weird, right? So part of you learning to make bets on your own is to paying somebody to teach you how to do it. It's really what it is. So if I ran a course and said, hey, I'm going to teach you guys how to bet, and we were going to do, I'm just making this up. We were going to do 1 or 2 nights a week classes for 2 hours, just like this, get, however many people on, and we're going to do this course. And today we're going to talk about this on this course, this on this course, this on this course. We're going to break it into segments so we have enough time to go over it, answer questions, so everybody can learn. Would that be something people would want to do? Would you really want to learn how to gamble, how to make good bets, have somebody teach you how to do that? Or at least from the perspective of my point of view? Or if you would do that, if you would want to do that, Jay Barry says that's awesome. So maybe that is something. Or on the other side of that would be is if that were to be offered, would you pay for it? How much would you pay? Is that worth $25? Is that worth $50? Is that worth $100? I don't know the answers to the questions. I'm just asking because he made a great point. And the great point is you're going to go pay a guy, say you paid me. Well, the difference of paying me is a little different. But if you paid me $100 to give you picks, you're going to get them. But you're also going to get information. And in my mind, right, that's what I'm trying to share with you is information. I'm trying to show you the data that I use, how I use it, how it's generated, and so that you can do it yourself. I don't know if you guys read the article that I put out around NFL, because I already put an article about the NFL and how to make power rankings for the NFL. It's not what you think it is. It's not some guy going, hey, let's start at 100 and let's make an arbitrary reason for it to be here and here and here. So this team's 98, this team's 91, this team's 90. That's not how to do it. There's math involved. So you can take a winning percentage. It says this information is fantastic, the best show of its kind. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. But what I'm trying to share with this football thing is I publicized it already, is you put it out there and you go math of a winning percentage. That winning percentage can be changed into a money line. I just kind of shared it with you here on a game we did earlier. That can be changed into a money line. Okay, well, that money line can be changed into a spread. So if a team's supposed to win, I don't know, 60% of the games they play, then maybe, I'm just making this up out of the top of my head, maybe they are minus 4 points on a money line, on a spread. And then another team who's only supposed to win 40% of their games, maybe they're a +3. So you got one team that's -4, one team that's +3. Add them together, you got -7. Right? So now you got a team that's favored by 7 points. That is how you make numbers work. And then you adjust those numbers based on a lot of things. What you see and how games play out and injuries and things that kind of come down the line. But you need a base to start with. How do you think Las Vegas does it? Las Vegas does it based off in the way that they come up with spreads. They come out and go, how many games are these teams going to win? And then let the public and sharps and everybody in the world bet into those numbers. And then those numbers get hundreds of thousands of dollars bet into them. And then they become a assured number. They get a really good number. And then that number turns into a spread, a power ranking. And then that power ranking gets adjusted and things kind of break down. And everybody has their own little mechanisms here and there for whatever to make the numbers work. So anyway, my questions, and you can either answer them live or you can try to hit me up on DMs or try to do something. I'm looking for a little bit of interaction. I'm not saying that I'm going to go run a class, or I'm not necessarily saying that. I mean, I can. I think that would be kind of a fun thing to do. But at the same time, I don't know where to take the show, right? I don't want to be the guy that just says, hey, look, here's free picks, because I don't want you tuning in just for free picks. If you want to tune in for free picks, go turn into somebody else. I'm going to give you plays, but I want you to understand where they come from and why they came that way. And hopefully, if you see the same thing, you can do it. You can make the bet. You can figure it out. And that's why I'm trying to do what I'm doing. So please get in my DMs, send me an email. My email address is webby20@gmail. Pretty rough stuff, right? Webby20mlb@gmail. I think I said it wrong. So anyway, point being is look, follow me on Twitter. Hit me up on Twitter. I say this too all the time. Right now we got 105, 110 people on the show live right now watching us talking. The other day we had I think there's 200. So this show's getting popular. Things are growing. Things are getting great. Love all of that stuff. But it's amazing, to help everything and help run the show and help drive everything up. I need a lot of help from you guys, from the watchers. I need the likes, the retweets, the subscribes. We talked about this in detail the other day, and it just doesn't happen. Nobody does it. So, and the reason it needs to happen, guys, is for a couple of reasons. Like I just said, hey, who would pay for this, or who would do this, or who would do that? What if we had a sponsor that paid for this whole damn show and allowed me to hire a producer, be able to put up show slides and all this other kind of stuff and do all these things? That would be awesome. Well, that costs money, right? So you have to generate money. To generate money, you got to have views of the show. So that's what I need your help with. I need retweets. I need conversations. I need, hey, this, if you like it, obviously. I don't want you to do something that if you don't like it, not to do. But the point being is help drive and grow this show up, and we can do a lot of fun stuff. Some amazing things I think we can get to. And then always kind of things growing on my mind. I got a lot of drive, guys. I mean, I do a lot every day, and I do it anyway. So, finding the time to be able to jump on here and be able to talk about it and share all the information and all that stuff is great. But I want my personal goal is to teach people how to be successful. That's all. I was 3-1 yesterday. I think I was, I don't remember what it was Friday. It was like 4-0 Friday, 2-0 Saturday, and Sunday, I think that was a wishy-washy show, but I only gave out one play and a damn lost. So, I do this to give out winners, but hopefully when I first got started in this business, one of the things I used to try to tell people, because I'd get people call me on the phone and go, hey, I want you to join this service. Okay, I'll join the service. Win me my service fee. That's what I told them. Win me my service fee. And they go, what do you mean? Well, I'm a $50 a game bettor. You want me to spend $300 with you. So you win me $300 at that rate, I'll pay that $300 and I'll join your service fee. They go, okay, great. So they would start giving me picks. They couldn't win $300. And that's what happens. And that's why a lot of this industry has a bad name. And because people don't know how to play. And then when they go to try to figure out how to play, they listen to people that are entertaining and loud and have a lot of different other things going on and prettier or handsomer or whatever. So So they get a lot of misinformation and they never get anywhere. So the only thing that Mr. Trench didn't say on here was, he said, go learn how to handicap on your own. And as you learn, you'll get to grow and all that stuff. What if you had a guy to help you learn? That's where I think there's a difference. And I think that's where there's a slot that if you really wanted to learn the business, you could. You could. So anyway, food for thought. Let me know. Talk to me. Hit me up on and I'm asking you. I want the DMs. I want the conversations. I want the stuff. I want to know what your feedback is. So let me know. Anyway, that all being said, follow me on my website. Follow me on Twitter. And MLB20. Go to my website, mlb-daily.com. You can sign up there for a free newsletter. Every time I put an article in, it'll come direct to your email. Or if you want to be a client, you can be a client. It's $100. Just click the membership button, click the other button, give them a credit card or whatever it is, $100. And then you get an email from me that comes back with passwords and different things to get into the thing. But like I said before, I know that there's guys out here in this business that'll take your $100. They take that $100 and they put it in their pocket because that's what they use to fulfill their bankroll because they don't win. The reality is, I can't. If I were to use your $100, it wouldn't get me anywhere. I have to bet $500 to $1,000 a game. It's just the way it is. I have to because this is my job, and I have to make a certain amount of money. So I can't afford to lose, and your $100 doesn't go to fulfilling any bankroll. It's meaningless that way. But it does help for this other stuff, right? So I need this admin stuff to be kind of taken care of to help and grow this channel. So that's what the money goes for. So help a guy out, right? I don't know how they say that stuff. That's just me talk. But anyway, I hope everybody has a good time. It's a great show. We ended up with, close to 120 people again. So it's pretty good. Not bad for a Tuesday. And I'll be back tomorrow, 6:15 Wednesdays, 6:15. And I'm going to maybe look at some adjustments to the schedule because I think yesterday would have been a good show day because we had 13 games on Monday. So if there's a bunch of games on Monday, I might jump on Monday just to make it more worthwhile to everybody that we don't miss out on some of these days. So anyway, that being said, let's win some games. Let's have some fun. And I will see you tomorrow, 6:15. And please, hit me up on some of those things I was asking you about. I would really appreciate it. We got 115 people on the show right now. It'd be great if all 150, I'm not kidding, if all 115 of you were to get in there, follow me on Twitter, ask those questions, answer the questions, and let's have some communication. That would be great. All right, guys, have a great night. Let's win some money. Talk to you later.